What's up? It's Lewis, along with my friend Ric Basham. This weekend is a big weekend if you're a wrestling fan. If you are a fan of the WWE or AEW, this could be the weekend for you. Of course, starting on Friday with AEW, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about the big one. WWE holds 4 major pay-per-views a year: Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, WrestleMania, and SummerSlam. And this is the big one of the SummerSlam. It's in front of fans. And I got to tell you, Mr. Basham, the card's not bad. There's a couple of weak points here and there, but overall, I think it's, for what they have, solid from top to bottom.
Yeah, I would agree. The championship matches are with people that are, high quality guys and gals for that matter. Of course, you got Roman Reigns versus John Cena. That's probably going to be my favorite match. I think that should be the main event, the very last match on the card. Bobby Lashley Goldberg is interesting only because I feel like something crazy could happen after it, maybe a cash in or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. As far as the women's, the Smackdown title match, I think could be the best one for the ladies. Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. The triple threat to me is a bit odd. I don't really know where they're going to try and go with it between Nikki ASH, Rhea Ripley, and Charlotte.
I think the Raw version of that, we'll start with the women and move forward. I think the Raw version of that with Ripley and Nikki and Charlotte, I think that's a placeholder in some capacity for the return of one Becky Lynch. Like, that's the only thing I can think of. Or they just don't have talent that they're confident in. I mean, Charlotte, say what you want about her, she's probably the one that deserves the title because she's probably the best overall. I'm 50-50 on Ripley. There are times when I like her. There are times when I don't. Nikki Ash, I just don't understand at all. But, okay, we're giving her a moment. My guess is, in some capacity, she's going to lose this weekend to whoever that might be. And I would imagine, my gut tells me Becky Lynch returns and costs Charlotte the match, which sets up a feud between the two of them. Okay. Ash will just lose, and then Ripley moves on to whoever Rhea Ripley moves on to. I don't know who that is, but it just feels like a placeholder to me. On the other side, I heard an interesting thing today that both the reason that Sasha and Bianca were not on SmackDown is because they both have COVID, and there's a very good chance that they might miss this little shindig altogether.
That is interesting. I had seen somewhere that the match may not happen, which to me was odd because they still promoted it on Raw.
Right.
As we're recording this is Wednesday. So they promoted it on Monday. So that to me is very, very strange that they're still going forward with that. That kind of gives me the vibe of I think it was Survivor Series 99 when they still advertised Austin in the title match, and then he got replaced with Big Show.
Yeah.
And yeah, it seems like it could be a bait and switch for something.
We'll see. I don't know, but yeah, that's the interesting I heard today with all the cases that are spiking. I can see that as a realm possibility. There's a couple of things that I'm not, Sheamus versus Damien Priest. I love Sheamus. I think Sheamus is the most wasted talent on their roster. I mean, but my guess is they're going to make him drop the title to Damien Priest for whatever reason. They seem high on Priest. Priest does absolutely nothing for me. Didn't do anything for me at WrestleMania. Hasn't done anything for me since, I don't know. But I feel like that's what it is. It's just a way to get a belt on Priest so they can push him. Because my guess is because he's 6 foot whatever, Vince probably loves him. And
yeah, I wouldn't be shocked by that. And to me, honestly, I thought he got overshadowed by Bad Bunny in the WrestleMania match because he just killed it in there. But
I would agree.
I feel like Sheamus is so underappreciated, especially as a heel, because I think he's probably one of the better heels in the company.
I agree. I think he's, he can hold his own in the ring. He's a name. He's a talker. Like he crosses a lot of T's and checks a lot of boxes. Like I think he should be the one, that deserves more of a push that they're not giving. But we'll see where it goes. On the other side of that, I could care less about Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre. Like,
Yes.
okay, like here's where WWE bothers me a little bit, because in the Attitude Era and probably even in the early 2000s, this would not have worked at all. Because does anybody believe for a minute that a dude is going to draw a claymore and start going after people with it? Like, I think the whole thing is stupid. I think Jinder Mahal is, again, an okay heel, but there's nothing to it. I think Drew McIntyre is kind of getting a raw deal right now, but I mean, he was the Scottish psychopath. Now he's the Scottish warrior. Like, there's just not, is he over? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see with fans now if he's really over, because during the Arena era or the Thunderdome era, you can't really tell who was over and who wasn't over.
Right.
Because of the way it was. So I don't know, but I don't know where you stand on it, but that's just where I could care less. That's my time to see what else is on, grab necessary beverage refills, and do whatever else.
I was just about to say that's probably going to be the proverbial piss break match.
Yep.
Probably either that, or I would probably say the SmackDown tag title match with the Usos and the Mysterios, because I feel like Dom might turn heel. I don't know.
I think the only person that cares about Dominic Mysterio is Rey, because he gets to wrestle with his son, and that's about it. Like, I don't care about that. I don't care about. I did think it was interesting that Roman Reigns finally came out of character and kind of had something to say about Usos. What is it, fourth DUI or whatever it is? So I think the Usos have a lot of talent, but if you're going to use the Usos, it's not against the Mysterios. You got to use the Usos against the New Day or somebody that can be on pace with them and keep up with them. And to be honest, WWE seems like it goes through a period where they've got a lot of good tag teams that they don't know what to do with. And then they get to the point where they are now, where there's one or two tag teams that anybody cares about and nobody else. Like, I mean, it just doesn't seem like, back in the day you had the Hardys, the Dudleys, and Edge and Christian, and the tag team division was awesome. Now you've got, all right, who are these guys? Do I really care about, why are you wasting AJ Styles with, Omos or whatever his name is? Like, AJ's another one. Great heel. Give him a belt and be done with it.
Yeah, I would agree. I almost think the biggest problem is that they have way too many belts, and that stretches your talent across two shows. And, they really don't have that much to pull from because everybody's separated into this brand split. I almost wish they would just can this, because I mean, with as many belts as they had, it's harder to keep track of who's where and who's doing what. So
I agree.
I'd rather just keep it back to either the WWE title or make it the World Heavyweight title, something. IC belt, just because that's the most historic belt in the company. That's not the main one. And then one tag title, one women's championship. I don't even know if I would honestly do a women's tag championship belt either.
I don't think I would either. And I think with all the talent they've let go of, the brand split's a mistake. Just put it under one brand. You're booked either on Raw or SmackDown like it used to be. Sometimes you defend your title here, sometimes you defend your title there. You just don't have the caliber of talent to support two brands. Yes. And, it's just, I think it's stupid. Like, just make one set of tag titles. Because, like, right now, I don't like Riddle. Riddle annoys the living piss out of me. So, like, I could care less. And because of that, I could care less about Riddle and Randy Orton. I would very much like to see a Randy Orton AJ Styles match, because I feel like that would be quality, because both of them can talk, both of them have skills. That appeals to me. What they have them in, either one. But my guess is if Randy Orton does not turn on Riddle again, they will win the tag team titles, at least this go round. But
yeah, that wouldn't shock me. I'm kind of the opposite, though. I hadn't seen much of Riddle, and he kind of grew on me a little bit these last few weeks. I don't know why, but he seems so innocent, and he just well, let's be honest, he's probably high most of the time. But at the same time, It is highly entertaining, and him on a scooter is just hilarious.
Okay, yeah, I guess maybe he just. You know what Riddle reminds me of? Riddle reminds me of if you've ever been the only sober one in a room of alcoholics. Riddle thinks like he is the man, and you look at him and go, dude. That's my take on Riddle. The other one that I feel like is wasted right now, Alexa Bliss. I feel like she's out of place without the Fiend there. But I like you can tell she has fun with the character. But again, Eva Marie. Did anybody care when she was there the first time? Does anybody care that she's back now? It's like Alexa Bliss is someone who I don't know if she could still go in the ring the way she used to, but she's one that could definitely, you know what I mean?
I agree. I think we had discussed this a little earlier. It'll be interesting to see what they do with her now, just because, again, you can't pre-produce a lot of her stuff. She's going to have to be in the ring live at some point.
Yeah.
And to me, like doing the pre-produced stuff like during a match like they did a couple weeks ago, no, don't do that. That's just silly. Like, no. It doesn't work. And I don't know if it's necessarily going to get over, like, because the live crowd's not going to see that. They're not going to see, Willie wink at, I hate calling her Dewdrop. She's Piper Niven to me. Dang it. But
yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that, the theatrical stuff played when you couldn't have fans in the arena because you had to do something to try to entertain people. So I won't fault you for what you were doing then. But you're right. Like the theatrics, it doesn't work now. The match that I do think steals the show, though, provided nobody gets injured, Edge, Seth Rollins. You 100% have my backing in that. I think that, put the belt back on Edge. He's the guy that can carry you for a while, and put Seth Rollins in the title picture. I know Rollins had it before, but those guys could go. Like, I'd like to see a Seth Rollins, AJ Styles matchup. I'd like to see Edge with, or Edge and Finn Balor, or AJ and Finn Balor. Like, I know Vince wants his champions to be 6'8", 300 pounds and these monsters, but, go back to the days when you had Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Like, let those guys, give these guys a chance. But I think Edge and Rollins is probably going to be pound for pound the best wrestling match of the night. Like, they're two guys that have the skills to, go 30 minutes or whatever and keep you entertained the entire time.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I've been behind Edge since he came back, and I want to see him keep putting together these quality matches. Like, I think since he's come back, I don't know that he's necessarily had one bad match with anybody. He's been in great shape, kept himself in relatively good health. He's had a couple of nagging injuries come up, but I'm with you. Put him kind of in the title picture. I think for Finn Balor, you would have to almost, put him in the IC picture, because I think those matches with Nakamura, who's now the IC champion, could be really, really good. And I think it'd be a good way to kind of rebuild him to kind of get back up to that level that he once was before he was injured in that Universal title match, which feels like years ago now, with Seth Rollins.
Yeah, people forget he was the first Universal champion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'll give him that one. Well, everybody wants to see Brock Lesnar come back and take on Bobby Lashley. But the problem they have is that's not until WrestleMania. I wouldn't think. Unless they bring Lesnar back because there's an audience at SummerSlam. Do they bring him back at SummerSlam because you have fans and set up a program? But to me, that seems like something you would build more along the lines of Survivor Series and along the lines of Royal Rumble to set it all up. Now, that being said, if you do it that way, Goldberg could potentially win, so he could win the title, and then you turn around and have Lashley take the title back at Survivor Series or something along those lines and give Goldberg a little bit of a run. I don't know. You could, but I could also see this being just a paycheck for Goldberg. He's going to come in and Lashley's going to put him down to make Lashley look stronger leading up to Brock Lesnar coming back or whatever.
Yeah, it's weird because the whole thing with Baron Corbin stealing the Money in the Bank has kind of got me turning those gears. I don't think he would cash in on either of those guys. But then again, the way they've been portraying him as this like down in the dumps guy, he could totally steal it from one of the two dominant guys on Raw. But he is a SmackDown guy, so that kind of puts that to bed a little bit. Yeah. But I think in terms of this match, I think you got to keep strapping the rocket to Bobby Lashley. Man, he looks so much better than I remember watching him when I first started watching wrestling. Like from his transformation from like 2006 to now is incredible. And I think he's so much better for it. I love that he's got MVP talking for him, but he does little bits where he nails it. And I think that's perfect for the way to use him.
Yeah, I agree with you on MVP. They gave him a mouthpiece, and I think he's much better for it because he, like you said, when he needs to talk a little bit, he can, but having MVP be the overall mouth for him, I think works. And my gut tells me Lashley keeps the belt just to keep him looking powerful, to get him going, but you never know. I mean, no one knows behind the scenes what the conditions are. When Goldberg went to the Saudi shows, you went, he's making $2 million to go to Saudi and wrestle for a night. So that's the motivation. This time around, hey, Bill, what's it going to take to get you to come back? Hey, I'd like to have one more title run. Okay, we can do that. You've got enough time if you are building for a WrestleMania match with Lesnar. You do have enough time to give Goldberg a quick run and then put the belt back on Lashley if that's what you want to do. So, I don't know. We will see, which leads us into the next championship match, which again, I feel could go either way. But what do you think of Cena and the head of the table, so to speak? Keeping in mind that everybody's fantasy belief is because he's related, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is going to make one more run at WrestleMania, and that will be against Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I've kind of felt that way a little bit. I still think in the overall scheme, at least in the short term, Roman has to win this against Cena. Now, the match is going to be good. I don't think it'll necessarily be the caliber of, like you said, Edge and Seth Rollins, but I think this will still be a kind of a knockdown, drag-out kind of Hoss-style match. Every move is going to be impactful, and it's going to be good. And I think you got to keep chugging along with Roman. Now, I don't think that The Rock will make any kind of appearance. I would think they might want to hold off on bringing him out. How late they want to do that is, as far as the build up to this WrestleMania match that a lot of people are thinking about, I don't know. Yeah. I would almost think that the more promotion you do of it, the better. So I could see Rock maybe making an appearance maybe this weekend.
I just feel like Cena's 17th title feels like, a bigger moment than what SummerSlam will offer. But who knows? Could be completely wrong. So that's the take. And then I guess we got what? So the card starts Saturday night, so we'll have to recap it again next week. But before we switch gears to a different organization, a lot of drama in WWE where NXT is concerned. That is getting completely revamped, as if last month's releases weren't enough. Now they've decided that they were going to release even more people, a few of whom were on the upward climb. So I don't know what's going on there anymore.
Yeah, I really don't either. And it's really disappointing to see kind of how far pretty much the fan favorite brand of WWE has really fallen off. Because I remember when I first got wind of NXT, that was around the time, I think, when Bayley and Sasha were there. I think Finn Balor, Kevin Owens were there. I remember watching the first takeover from Brooklyn and seeing Bayley and Sasha put on a 5-star classic. I was like, man, This is some
Absolutely.
good stuff. So I've been on and off with it. I've seen, Joe come through there the previous time, not this most recent time, but you've seen Joe come through. You've seen Bobby Roode come through, Drew McIntyre again, and it's gone from like this, what was developmental, into almost like a super indie federation.
Yep.
In a sense, but within the WWE bubble. And now it's like, are they going to turn it back to developmental again?
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting to see. I think WWE, some of the talent they released, I get it. Like, okay, great, you released Fandango. Who cares? Like, not a big deal. But, now you turned around. The big one is you release Braun Strowman. So there's a lot of questions. Is he going to be the next jump to AEW? I don't know. The big rumor is the Friday night AEW Rampage show is the one that emanates live from Chicago. So is that where you had a couple of options? Daniel Bryan supposedly is inbound to AEW at some point in time, which I don't know what they do with him, but I'm sure it'll be more than WWE did. The big one, though, is apparently the all signs point to CM Punk making the return to the wrestling ring. Phil's going to give it another go in AEW, apparently.
Man, if he does, that might just move the needle, because there was something that he posted on Instagram, and it was either last week or just this past weekend. There was like 3 numbers, 5, 11, and 21. And I had to dig on this because they made no sense to me at first. But in 05, you had him leaving ROH, Ring of Honor, and that was dubbed the Summer of Punk. 2011, you had kind of the same thing where he stole the WWE belt and left through the crowd there in Chicago as well, and that was dubbed the Summer of Punk. So he's got 21 on there. Make of that what you will, but maybe 2021, the Summer of Punk will restart again.
Interesting. You know who would be great with Punk? Let him go against MJF. The two of them on the mic.
Oh, yes.
Like, that's where you go. Like, you bring Daniel Bryan in and have him go against whoever. I don't know. But, yeah, go straight at MJF. Like, the promos would be gold, and they can both go in the ring. So, I don't know. We shall find out. That all goes down on Friday night, WWE Summerslam on Saturday night. So there's our predictions. We will do the recap and see how right or how wrong we are at some point in time on Monday or Tuesday. So I don't know. We shall see what happens when it all goes down. If you're a wrestling fan, weigh in with your predictions on the comments. Let us know what you think, and we will reconvene and discuss again next week.